Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Tonight, I'm going to be breaking down last night's six-game NBA slate with you. It was an eventful slate of games where we saw a lot of the guys in bench roles really carry their squads, especially when it came to the daily fantasy sports side. Not a lot of great performances we saw from guys that were locked into those starting rotations. But we did see a ton of bench scoring, a lot of great bench play from teams around the league. At a certain point in the day, I was thinking, you know what, today is going to be one of those days where whoever finds a way to stack either the best team or whoever gets Harden and Westbrook right with a lineup full of scrubs and go starting scrubs is probably going to have the best chance to take down the GPP. But myself, I am a tournament player, and I consider myself a safe tournament player, so I went more the route of balanced lineups. I had a core four, I stuck with it, and that is the first thing that we're going to do on tonight's show. Our normal formatting of the show is we go ahead and jump into my core four review. There's a couple of reasons why I do this. Number one, I want to keep that transparency between you and I, so that you know that the guys that I'm talking about, the guys that are in my player pool, the guys that I say I'm going to be playing, those are the guys I'm going to be playing. Win, lose, or draw, those are the guys I'm going to be rolling with. Also, I like to lay the groundwork for you to create your own cores of plays. And just to see the way I set mines up, usually I go with a couple point guards, a center, and a forward that I really like. Because as a tournament player, the guy that I am, I like to have as many touches as possible when it comes to the guys on my roster. I mean, if I didn't have to roster a shooting guard on most nights, I wouldn't. I would put a point forward in that spot, and I'd have 3-point guards all across the board. That's how I build most of my rosters, especially we're talking about on the DraftKings format. We know on FanDuel, you kind of get forced into playing certain plays. You got to kind of go where they tell you to. Sometimes it can be frustrating, but other times it does work into your favor because you won't be going up against you won't be going up against teams that have guys that they're playing in different positions. So that does have its pluses and its minuses. But let's go ahead and jump into last night's core four. This core at 5x value, which is not good. Let's just say you decided to take me up on it and you decided to use my core four. At 5x value, what I'm telling you is I need you to go out and piece together a lineup that's going to take us to 300. At 5.5x value, I'm working with you. I'm like hand in hand with you. We're trying to get to 300 together. At 6x value or more, I'm telling you, hey, get in the back seat, ride with me. I'm gonna take you to the 300 club, and that's kind of my goal every night is to get that 6x value for my core four. And it usually hits about 4 of 10 slates. That way, I remain profitable. Last night's core, let's go ahead and jump into it. This one should have brought back at 6x value 172.2 DraftKings points. At 5.5x value, it should have brought back 157.8 DraftKings points. At 5x value, which is the bare minimum we will accept, it would have brought back 143.5 DraftKings points. Tonight's core four finished with 145.25 DraftKings points. The heavy lifting was on you. If you used my core four and you got to the cash line, it is all you. You carried the core four tonight. The core four did not carry you. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We started with Marcin Gortat. Now, he was somebody who I thought maybe I was a little early to the party because I rostered him in the core four the night before. And that's when we saw Jonas Valanciunas really obliterate that Boston front line when it came to rebounding the basketball. And I thought maybe we would see that because we know that is a trend with the Boston Celtics. You can always rebound the ball well against them. So when the opportunity came up to roster Gortat again against the Boston Celtics, I quickly jumped to it. So did 20% of the DFS world at 6K. He brought us back 23.25 DraftKings points. Not a good showing at all from Marcin Gortat. And, that thinking deeply into that play, especially in hindsight, there are really good rebounders that don't play center on that team. We're talking about John Wall's a decent rebounder. We're talking about Markieff Morris, when he gets in the zone, being a decent rebounder. Otto Porter being a decent rebounder. So if I wanted to attack Boston rebounding, I didn't have to do it the same way. That's a recency bias got me. I didn't have to do it the same way I did it the night before, or I didn't do it the night before with Jonas Valanciunas, right? Because we know that outside of Jonas Valanciunas for the Toronto Raptors, there's not too many other guys that are stone cold rebounders. We saw in that very same game, DeMar DeRozan get 13 rebounds, and that hardly ever happens. I don't think I've ever seen him get a double-digit rebounding game. So that was my bad. Not a great call on that one for the core four, but I thought I arrived early to the party, and I wanted to be there if he did, in fact, play a great rebounding game against the Boston Celtics. He was in position for us the last 2 nights, and that's why we'll be getting to him later. We get into our next segment. The next play we're going to talk about is going to be a play that ended up being really chalky. Man, it was a play everybody was on. This guy was 24% owned. The price was 6.9K. He was in a sort of plus matchup against one of the best players in the league. And he ended up scoring 42.5 DraftKings points. I'm talking about Mike Conley. As soon as I saw the matchup, I was on him. You know, if you keep up with the show, you know that I have an affinity for scrappy point guards that play good defense and are well balanced in their ball handling, as well as the assist to turnover ratio is very low. He was just a very safe play. I liked him because he was such a safe play on I knew an up and down game. We were going to see Russell Westbrook pushing the pace of the game. I really thought that Mike Conley was going to be a good play. And like I said, at 24% owned, 6.9K, he brought back 42.5 DraftKings points. That was just a little bit over the 6x value that we needed. So that was a nice play. Mike Conley, good. Great addition to the core four. Next play we're going to talk about was a guy that I really like. And I like this guy for a few reasons. Number one, he's just the best point guard in the league. Number two, I did not think this game would blow out. We knew there was a couple of narratives involved in the game. We talk about Jeff Green and him returning to LA to take on the Clippers. Nobody's going to want to play a good game. We saw, Jody Meeks come in and shoot the lights out. I just really didn't think that this game was going to blow. So I did like Chris Paul, and a lot of other people didn't. He was at 9% owned. So he was definitely in position to separate us if he had one of those big Chris Paul games, right? He goes out at 9.4K, probably one of the more pricey point guards on the slate. Goes out and brings back 41.25 DraftKings points, 41.5 DraftKings points. Now that's not horrible when you think, 40 DraftKings points. But if you're paying 9.4K, that's not acceptable. We needed a lot more from Chris Paul. The game was close, so he did see a fairly nice allotment of minutes. Just didn't do enough with him in key spots. Was kind of tentative with the ball, wanting to really pass the ball a lot. And a lot of the passes that he was making, guys were, going to score the basketball and getting fouled, so he wasn't getting credit for the assist in that arena. So that was not a great showing there from Chris Paul. The last player we're going to talk about was another guy that ended up being very chalky. Now, we knew there was a chance we weren't going to see Zach LaVine. Now, for me, whenever it comes to if I'm going to roster guys on the Minnesota side, especially the Minnesota Wings, I usually have to choose between LaVine and Wiggins. Rarely do both of those guys have a good game at the same time. So when we knew that LaVine wasn't going to be out, it was a no-brainer for me to go ahead and jump on Wiggins at 28% owned. A lot of people were on him, 6.4K. He goes out and scores 37.5 DraftKings points and does meet that 6x value for us like we set out for him. So this core four had the potential to be a really good one. Had a lot of potential, but guess what? Potential for the birds. We need results, right? Let's go ahead and jump into in our next segment the feature for players of the night. These are the 4 most talked about, tweeted about guys in the DFS sweatshop, in the Facebook VIP, on Twitter, and in the DFSsweatshop.com chat center. Let's go ahead and start with the Who Dat scoring on the points over there play tonight. This has to go to one of my favorite New York Knicks, Kyle O'Quinn. This dude was only 1% owned. Goes out 3.4K, very cheap salary on a 6-game slate. A guy that low owned with that salary was definitely taking you to the cash line. He goes out and scores 41.75 DraftKings points and had 33 DraftKings points in his first 11 minutes of play. Just didn't do much else after that. But that was an awesome showing. 41.75 DraftKings points. That's why you, Kyle O'Quinn, are the Who Dat scoring on points over there, player of the night. The next play we're going to talk about is going to be the How Did I Miss That play tonight. Now, this is a guy that, because I like Chris Paul, I should have been on this guy too. Because most of the time, when him and Chris Paul are on the floor together and he does assist to him, this guy's banging out threes. So we're talking about JJ Redick, who had a really nice game, and kind of a twist and turn in the game was usually right around mid fourth quarter, just going into the fourth quarter, where they usually put Chris Paul back in the game. They did not, and they put JJ Redick back in the game, and the game was close. So he went out and he really championed the second team. Him, Jamal Crawford, the coach's son, Big Mo Spates. Those guys were out there. They were balling. They played pretty well, and that kind of kept Chris Paul off of the floor until about the 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter. But JJ Redick, man, he balled out. 7% ownership, 5.5K. Went out and brought you back 40.5 DraftKings points. If you had him, he was definitely a late night hammer. But for me, he was the how did I miss that play tonight? Didn't have him anywhere. Next play we're going to talk about is going to be the heat check play tonight. This is the guy. Doesn't have to be the highest in salary. Doesn't have to score the most points. But this guy just fucking balled harder than everybody else in the league tonight. And we're talking about Karl Anthony Towns, 18% ownership. The ownership was down on him a little bit because he had a string of not so great games. He goes out at 9.5K, one of the higher priced guys on the slate, and delivers truly. 59.5 DraftKings points. Excellent game we saw from Karl Anthony Towns, and that's why you, Cat, are tonight's heat check player of the night. Excellent game we saw from you. Now, salute, hats off to the homie Karl Anthony Towns. The next play we're going to talk about is that one motherfucker. This is that one motherfucker. This is his second time being the snowflake of the night. So he has officially ran off on the plug twice. We're talking about none other than the man bun, Evan Fournier. How the fuck do you go out there at 11% ownership, being a late night hammer at 6K, and bring back 12.5 DraftKings points? You tonight, Evan Fournier, you a motherfucking snowflake with your snowflake ass, and I ain't gonna roster your ass again. I'm not fucking with him no more. I'm not doing it. I will never roster Evan Fournier again. Till I catch you in something real juicy. The price go down on you just a little bit. Get you around a nice little 5.4K. Get you in a nice matchup. I'll give you another shot. One more. But tonight, you a motherfucking snowflake. Ain't no magic on that shit. That's bullshit. Snowflake ass motherfucker. Let's go and get on with the rest of the show. Now, on a lighter and brighter note, just wanted to take a moment to highlight some of the cats in the DFS sweatshop who really got to the money tonight and had great, awesome games. We're talking about one gentleman, man. He was a staple in the YouTube Facebook group, man. A really good guy, always helping out the new guys. Just a decent character, really good character human being. We're talking about Storm Matthias. He finished 4th in the NBA 3K Daily Dollar Single Entry Tournament with a score of 322.75 DraftKings points. Excellent game out for you. Then we got Omar Ruddick, O'Ruddy 98, or the homie, had a really good night. Finished 1st in a tournament that he placed in. Really good showing from him. We've also got a really honorable mention for Fergman 78. Scored 318.25 points in the big I think it was a 400K tournament. 65th place for him. That was a really good showing. Took home $200. And also probably the king of the sweatshop tonight, the big homie Hill Dog 69. Man, this dude went out, and at one point he was in 1st place to get into the $4 million fantasy basketball world championship that's going to be in Miami. Like, a representative of the DFS sweatshop was one rebound away from winning 1st place. $46,750, man. Keep on pushing, bro. We were all riding with him. There was a certain point in the sweatshop where he was like, yo, I know y'all got guys y'all rooting for, but man, put it to the side and just root for me. And he didn't have to say no more, man. We was on it, man. Everybody was watching the game. We were really hoping that he would come away with it, but he ended up finishing 2nd, which was a nice payday out anyway. But next time we're going to go ahead and get him out there. Hill Dog 69, the big homie. And see, that's the beautiful thing about being a part of the DFS Sweatshop family, man. We are a family, man. We love each other. We chop it up. We talk. Cats call me. I call them. Like, we really mix it up. This is a family vibe, and that's why I'm so proud of what we have built here in the DFS Sweatshop. So shout out to everybody out there who's rolling with me and been down since day one, or if you're new and you're just coming along, it's all good, man. We embrace you. Thank you for being a part of the DFS Sweatshop family. Now, I'm going to go ahead and run through a very quick recap of last night's games before I jump into the player pricing. We know tomorrow is a 5-game slate. That is why we stack on those slates. Forget what anybody tells you. And we've got 6 games. And I believe on FanDuel, you may have a full 6-game all-day slate. But on DraftKings, they're going to split it up and make it choppy. You're going to have that early slate. I believe it's a 3 o'clock game with the Indiana Pacers, I believe. That's a game there for them. But we're going to see 5 games on tomorrow's main slate. And while we're at it, while we're looking at this type of stuff, let's go ahead and plot out the rest of the week just to see what we have going on. We've got 6 games tomorrow, exactly, with the Pacers and the Nuggets being the first game on the slate. Then Friday, we've got a nice, juicy 9-game slate that starts at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Then we've got on Saturday 5 games with a 3:30 game starting as the Lakers and the Clippers at early that day. And then on Sunday, you've got a nice 7-game slate, but we're going to have 3 early games. And then at 6 o'clock up until 9:30, we're going to have some late games there. So there's going to be some choppy slates going on. Bear with it. We're going to brave through it because we hit hard next week. Monday, we start off with 9 games, and we're going to be running hard all through the rest of the week. So let's go ahead and jump into that recap of last night's game. We're going to start in Philadelphia, where my New York Knicks were in town, and man, we just can't buy it, man. We can't buy a win, bro. Let's start on the Knicks side with Carmelo Anthony, man. The dude played 36 minutes, scored 28 points, grabbed a couple boards, and had an assist. Shot 11 for 25 from the field, which is 44%. Not a horrible game for Carmelo Anthony, but we needed to see more rebounding, more assists, just more peripheral stats when it came to scoring those fantasy points for us. The horrible play in this game was Kristaps Porzingis, man. 27 minutes for Kristaps. He had 7 and 3 to go with 2 assists and 1 steal with a block. Shot 30% from the field, hitting 3 of 10 and 1 of 6 from 3. Not a good game there. Derrick Rose was actually the story of this game, and he came out and had a really nice game, aside from Kyle O'Quinn. But the story of the game was Derrick Rose. He really got his confidence back together in that first quarter, had a really nice first quarter. 31 minutes for him to finish the game. He had 25 points, 2 boards, and 4 assists to go with a steal. Nice game we saw from him. We talked about Kyle O'Quinn already. He had 15 boards to go with 10 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks while shooting 83% from the field. Didn't see much else. Brandon Jennings was the guy that killed the majority of my lineups. When I started out my roster construction earlier, after I had set the core 4 in stone, I was like, yo, I don't know if we're going to see Derrick Rose. If we do see Derrick Rose, are we going to see a shy, timid Derrick Rose? I said, well, either or. I think I'm going to roll with Brandon Jennings, and I did that in a lot of spots. He had 24 minutes, 4 for 6 from the field, but just didn't shoot the ball a lot. He had 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Not a great game for him at all. On the Philadelphia side, let's talk about Robert Covington, man. 32 minutes, he had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. Really got it done on the defensive end. Pretty good game there. Ersan Ilyasova had 16 and 4 to go with 5 assists. Pretty nice game from him. And Joel Embiid, man, that $8K in salary kind of makes it impossible for him to reach that 6X value with the minutes restriction. But the time he was out there, man, this dude balls out, man. 21 points, 14 boards, an assist, a steal, and a block. He had a horrible shooting percentage. Should have scored more points. Seven shots made of 20. So he shot 35% from the field and 1 for 3 from behind the arc. Not a great game shooting the ball for Joel Embiid. The story of the game was actually T.J. McConnell, man. T.J. McConnell won the game on a last-second jump shot to go ahead and take it over. He had a really good game out. 8 points, 6 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals, shooting 66% from the field. Really nice game from T.J. McConnell. Nick Stauskas got the start, and it was too much sauce, man. He didn't do shit. 22 minutes, 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. Not a great game there. Gerald Henderson had 12 and 2 to go with an assist. And Nerlens Noel had 13 and 8 to go with an assist and 2 steals. Be on the lookout for Nerlens Noel, man. He is going to be a really nice part of this defensive game plan once they really unleash him and Joel Embiid, whether as a tandem or coming in one subbing after the other. Next game I'm going to talk about is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder at home against the Memphis Grizzlies. This is a game that I really like, probably one of my favorite games on the slate, but I just couldn't roster too many cats on either side. I was just so unsure about how the game flow was going to go, because we know that Memphis is one of those very slow-paced teams. They're actually, if my calculations are right, they're one of the slowest paced teams in the league. Yeah, they're 28th in the league in pace. So I really didn't want to, go too hard on the Memphis side, but I did like Mike Conley. We talked about him. He was a core forward member. In 36 minutes, he had 22 points, 4 boards, 6 assists, and 3 steals while shooting 8 for 20 from the field. That was 40%. Not that good at all, but he did shoot 3 for 7 from behind the arc. That's pretty decent. Jermichael Green had 10 boards to go with 4 points, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block, and shot 2 for 10 in his 31 minutes. Horrible shooting performance from him. We saw a little bit of Chandler Parsons, man. He came in 18 minutes and dropped 14 points and got a steal and then sat down on the bench for the rest of the game. Once he gets back to full strength, if he does, he's going to be a solid contributor to the Memphis Grizzlies. Zach Randolph had 14 and 9 in his 26 minutes off of the bench, also with an assist while shooting 46% from the field, going 6 for 13. Vince Carter was a player that I really liked and had him in a couple spots. In his 30 minutes, he had 11 points and 3 boards with 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block. Pretty decent game there at his price point. And we didn't see a great game from Marc Gasol, but he did kind of sort of meet that DraftKings value. He had 9 points, 7 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. And it is a tough matchup going up against that Oklahoma City front line, man. Those guys play very well, second team and the first team. Let's talk about them. Steven Adams, man, in 38 minutes, he had 12 points and 8 boards to go with an assist, a steal, and 2 blocks. Pretty decent game, but not a great game from him. Vic Oladipo had 16 and 3 to go with 2 assists, but the story of the game really was off the bench, man. Enes Kanter, in his 29 minutes, had 19 and 13 boards to go with 3 assists and 2 steals while shooting 44% from the field. Pretty good game there from Enes Kanter, and Russell Westbrook notched another triple-double. This wasn't a huge one. He had 24 points, but he had 13 rebounds, 12 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, while shooting 6 for 19 from the field. That was 31%. Not a good shooting performance. Did not hit a 3, and he took 7 of them, too. Vic Oladipo, in his 31 minutes, had 16 and 3 to go with 2 assists. Pretty good game there, but we needed to see more from the guys on the Oklahoma City side to really think about stacking that offense. We needed to see more from the other guys, from the role players. Andre Roberson did have 8 and 8 with a block, but not too much else from anybody else on the team. Next game I'm going to talk about is the Minnesota Timberwolves at home against the Houston Rockets. This game should have been a lot more high scoring in my opinion. Well, it did hit the 224 point total, but the last time these guys scored a ton of points the last time they played, and we thought we were going to see a similar performance, as both teams are really not that good defensively. Let's go ahead and start on the Houston side. Trevor Ariza, he led the team in minutes. He played 40 minutes, and he had 16 points to go with 3 rebounds. Not a great game there. Ryan Anderson had a nice game, 18 and 7 to go with 4 assists and 1 steal in his 38 minutes. He shot 6 for 16 from the field. If he has a better game, better day shooting the ball, he really blows up the stat sheet. 6 for 16 is 37.5%. Not a great shooting performance from him. Pat Beverly did not score a fucking point, but he had 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals to go with a block, and he was a fucking snowflake. Horrible game we saw from Pat Beverly. Should have just stayed at home. James Harden had a nice double-double. 33 points to go with 6 boards and 12 assists. Also had a steal on the block while shooting 10 for 23 from the field. That was 43.5%. Didn't see much else from anybody on the Houston side. Not too much else to speak of on the Minnesota side. Really nice game for the Heat Check player tonight. We're talking about Karl Anthony Towns. 23 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. Shot 10 for 17 from the field. That's 58%. And did not hit a 3, but he took 3 of them. But that was still a very good performance we saw from Karl Anthony Towns. Now, Brandon Rush got the start in place of Zach LaVine. We were all on Namia Bielita, or we were on Shabazz Muhammad, who did have a good game too. But this Brandon Rush kid, man, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He got in on every area of the stat sheet. Also hit 4 3-pointers. All of his 12 points were 3-pointers. Really nice game there from him. Rick Rubio balled out, scored 10 points, 3 rebounds, and had a career-high 17 assists to go with a steal. Pretty nice game there. He was 1 for 5 from the field, and it was 20%, so that wasn't really good at all. But he did make 8 of 8 free throws, which helped to get him to that double-double. Shabazz Muhammad, we talked about him just a second ago, 29 minutes for him. He had 20 points and 7 boards to go with an assist in his 29 minutes. Good showing from him. And didn't see much from Nemanja Bjelica, man. 20 minutes for him. He had 8 points and 7 boards to go with a steal while shooting 2 for 7 from the field. This was not a very good shooting performance for the Minnesota Timberwolves as a whole. Gorgui Dieng stank up the joint, man. 25 minutes for him. He had 10 and 2 to go with 2 assists and 1 block while shooting 100% from the field. He didn't miss a shot. He just didn't take a lot. Andrew Wiggins was the player that everybody was on. 28 points for him, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 block. 11 of 20 from the field. That's 55%. Also hit 2 of 4 3-pointers. Really nice showing there for Andrew Wiggins. The next game we're going to talk about is the Boston Celtics at home against the Washington Wizards. Now, yesterday, we did a little quick remote right before lock, and I talked about the value of stacking this Washington team in these situations. And I was a player off. I talked about stacking Gortat, Wall, and Otto Porter. But Brad Beal was actually the guy to have in your roster. 37 minutes for him. He had 35 points, led the team in scoring, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block, shooting 50% from the field and 6 for 10 from behind the arc. Excellent game there from Bradley Beal. John Wall, damn, they had a triple-double, man, but it was very small numbers. He had 9 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, and made 4 of 21. So he shot 19% from the floor, 0 for 5 from behind the arc. Only got to the free throw line 2 times and hit 1 of those. So it was an off night for John Wall. A very off night for John Wall. Jason Smith, man, this dude is somebody to look at. All right, Martin Gortat is fucking beat and tired. And he a tire hope. He has been leading this team in minutes for quite some time at the center position. You know that Ian Mahimi is not there. Andrew Nicholson is not playing. And this dude just is getting all the minutes. Well, now we see Jason Smith. Only in the 18 minutes, he had 13 points and 5 boards to go with 1 assist. This is the second nice game in a row. They were on a back-to-back, so we still saw 31 minutes from Martin Gortat. But Jason Smith is somebody to look at going forward, especially until those other guys come back off of their injuries. Saw a nice game from Otto Porter. We talked about him. 20 points to go with 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals while shooting 9 for 12 from the field. That's 75%, and also made both of his 3-point tries. He played 36 minutes. Good game from him. Markieff Morris actually had a decent game, too. He was 1 board shy of that double-double bonus. He had 14 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals while shooting a paltry 6 for 21 from the field, 28%. He could have shot a much better percentage and had a better game. He hit 1 of 6 from behind the arc. The Boston side, man, we saw a very slow start for Isaiah Thomas. He was looking very flaky in the first quarter, but he ended up riding the ship and winning the game. He played 38 minutes. He had 38 points, 20 in the fourth quarter, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Really nice game from him. 14 of 29 shooting. Hit 5 from 11 from behind the arc. Got to the line 6 times and hit 5 of them. So he turned it into a really nice game. Jordan Mickey got the start. Don't know why. Didn't do shit. 4 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. But Jay Crowder had a decent game. He dropped in 20 points to go with 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block in his 34 minutes while shooting 7 for 10 from the field. Good shooting showing from him. Kelly Olynyk should have got the start, but he did play 22 minutes off of the bench. He had 6 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, and 2 blocks in his, of course, 22 minutes. Jonas Jerebko in his 22 minutes had 8 and 6 to go with 1 assist. And also Terry Rozier, they were kind of shorthanded tonight. A lot of guys are out. He scored 11 points to go with 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. The next game we're going to talk about is the LA Clippers at home against the Orlando Magic. Now, this game, like I said earlier, was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Let's start with the Orlando Magic side. We saw Jeff Green for 25 minutes playing against his old former team. He had 10 points and 5 boards while shooting 3 for 13 from the field, 23%. Horrible shooting for him. Aaron Gordon, he got started early, man. 39 minutes for him. He had 28 points, 3 boards, and 3 assists. Pretty good game there. We saw a nice game from Nikolai Vucevic, 12 rebounds to go with 4 assists and 16 points with a steal and 2 blocks while shooting 50% from the field. Good game there. Elfrid Payton underwhelmed in his time. He only had 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. Jody Meeks jumped off of the bench and continues to shoot the ball very hot. In 27 minutes, he had 14 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, and 5 steals while shooting 6 of 11 from the field and 2 for 5 from behind the arc. Evan Fournier tonight, snowflake of the night with his snowflake ass, played 25 minutes. He had 8 points, 2 boards, and 2 assists. Not much there else on the Orlando Magic front. Clippers side of the ball, man, saw a really nice game from DeAndre Jordan, man. Dude double-doubled, had 20 rebounds, 10 points, 1 assist, 2 steals, 3 blocks, while shooting 4 for 8 from the field. That's 50%. He had 2 of 4 free throws. Really nice game we saw from DeAndre Jordan. JJ Redick, we talked about him. How did I miss that play, man? 36 minutes, he had 22 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, and 1 steal. Nice game there. The coach's son, Austin Rivers, he got into the action in 32 minutes, had 9 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, while shooting 3 for 7 from the field and 1 for 3 from behind the arc. Mo Spates had 13 and 3 in his 15 minutes, also to go with 1 assist for him. Pretty decent game there. We saw Jamal Crawford for about 24 minutes. He had 9 points and 4 assists to go with 1 steal. Not a great game we saw from him. Chris Paul, 32 minutes. He had 18 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in his 32 minutes while shooting 6 for 13 from the field. That is 46%. He also hit 1 of 5 3-pointers. Not a great game shooting from behind the arc for Chris Paul. The last game on the slate and the primetime game is the ESPN game. This game almost didn't happen because of the snow that was in Portland. So let's go ahead and jump into it, man. LeBron James doubled in 30 minutes. He had 20 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block while shooting 41%, going 5 for 12 from the field and 2 for 5 from behind the arc. Kevin Love, injury scare we saw here. We want to check up on that and be vigilant on that. He may he may not miss a game, but he did come back, but he was kind of hobbled. In 28 minutes, he had 17 points, 8 boards, and 1 assist. We almost saw a double-double from Tristan Thompson, 9 and 10, to go with 2 assists and 1 block. Pretty decent game there. DeAndre Liggins just stole some space on the court for 18 points, didn't do shit with it. Kyrie Irving, grossly underwhelmed in his 31 minutes, had 11 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and they got blown out. Cleveland just got blown out by the Portland Trail Blazers. So now that we've recapped the game, let's go ahead and jump into our player pricing for tomorrow's stack slate. Because that's what we're going to do. I don't give a fuck what nobody tell you. Listen, the last time we went through this guy releases this article, guy from the major sites. He's like, yo, on these 5-game slates especially, it would be in your best interest to find a core of players that you be like, that's bullshit. We're not doing that. We stack. 5 games or less, we're stacking. I already told them the truth. Secret's out. We're stacking. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Do some quick player pricing. See where everybody's at. And we're just doing this for the DraftKings main slate. So we're not going to see like the Paul Georges and the Denver guys because that's not going to be on the DraftKings main slate. That is a... Alright, so as you can see, the most expensive guy on the slate here is going to be Anthony Davis, and he is questionable. May not play. So that's something definitely to look forward to look out for. That's going to be the top news of the day, because if Anthony Davis doesn't play, that opens up a ton of value for other spots. If you pay down to the guy who's going to be in his position, that's going to free up a lot of salary to go ahead and jump up and get other guys. Kevin Durant, who I really like. But if he does play, they say he's fine. I do like him. Kevin Durant, who I really like against Detroit, 9.7K is the price on him. That's good. Jimmy Butler, we know he's already going to be out. Steph Curry, ordinarily, I would be like, no, I don't like Steph Curry, but I'm stacking, so I'm going to like Steph Curry tomorrow. Kawhi Leonard, 8.6. I don't like that. I won't be involving myself in any San Antonio stacks. Draymond Green, yes, he's going to be a part of the Golden State stack. Andre Drummond, I like him on a Detroit stack. We can stack Detroit against Golden State. We can definitely do that. Coming on Anthony, yes, I'm gonna do a full game stack at some point on the Chicago Bulls and the New York Knicks. I kind of like the way that's starting to look. Chris Stapps is, yes, that's a good stack there. LaMarcus Aldridge, 7.1. Eric Bledsoe, this is real. They had to prove this to me, but point guards do not play well against the Dallas Mavericks. For some reason, they just don't. So I won't be on Eric Bledsoe tomorrow. Drew Holiday, yes. Reggie Jackson, yes. Dwayne Wade, yes. Especially if we don't see, we know we're not going to see. We're not going to see Jimmy Butler. So that's what kind of makes me want to stack this Chicago game, because we're not going to see Jimmy Butler. We're going to see a ton of usage from Wade against a bad team in New York. There's going to be a lot of rebounds, a lot of missed shots, a lot of steals, a lot of peripheral point scoring. So I definitely like that game. That's one of my favorite games to stack tomorrow. Harrison Barnes 6.7. Yes on the Dallas stack. Julius Randle's a no for me. Klay Thompson, yes, he's going to be a part of that Golden State stack. Brook Lopez, most certainly. Most certainly. Especially if we don't see Anthony Davis tomorrow. We can definitely. Now, this is the #1 team in the league in pace. We're talking about the Brooklyn Nets. They're the #1 team in the league in pace. So we can definitely get a piece of that offense tomorrow. Tobias Harris, 6.3. Yeah. D'Angelo Russell's questionable. He may not play tomorrow. Devin Booker, I like him. Derrick Rose, yes, he's going to be a part of that stack for me. Terrence Jones, yes, especially if we don't see Anthony Davis tomorrow. And isn't that funny how the price jumped up on him like that due to injury? Not because he played well or he did anything to earn 6K in salary, but because somebody got hurt. Now his price goes up. It's crazy. Paul Gasol, 6K. I like him as a one-off in some spots. KCP, yes, I'm going to be a part of a Detroit stack for me. Dirk Nowitzki, yes, that's going to round out the Dallas stack. I like Darren Williams, Dirk Nowitzki, and Harrison Barnes. That's a nice stack, I think, and a cheap stack that you can pay up to get Kevin Durant if you want him as a one-off or something like that. Trevor Booker probably not going to be out in tomorrow. Taj Gibson, yes, part of that Chicago stack. I like Mirotic is going to be out tomorrow. Lynn, of course, is going to be out. Rajon Rondo probably is going to play. We can definitely look to him. I'm sure the ownership is going to be way more than it was at the 1% it was last time out. Tyson Chandler is a no for me. MKG is a no for me. Brandon Jennings, no. Marcus Morris, yes. Buddy Hield, yes. Tony Parker, yes. Wesley Matthews, I like him tomorrow. That could be a 4 deep stack actually, if you really want to get to it. Joakim Noah, I like him. That's a revenge narrative there for him and Derrick Rose. They're going back to Chicago. You got to look at that. Even for Robin Lopez is playing the Knicks, who he left to go to Chicago. But he didn't leave, they traded him. Dougie McBuckets is dead to me. He's on that list. Him and Kent Bazemore have officially deceased to me. I will not play them. I don't give a fuck under any circumstances. I will not roster Doug McDermott. TJ Warren, yes, I like him at 4.4. Donatas Montejunas is definitely in play at 4.3, especially if we don't see. They're going to be chalk. Him and Terrence Jones. If we don't see Anthony Davis tomorrow, they are going to be the chalk. Most definitely, without a doubt. That's a no-brainer right there. So, I'll get right here. Tyreke Evans, I like Tyreke Evans. He's going to go low on tomorrow, 4.2K, even on a 6-game slate. I imagine his ownership is going to be under 15%. That's always good if you're stacking on those 5-game slates. David Lee is a yes for me at 4.1 as a one-off if I need a cheap guy to place a backup center. Robin Lopez is a play I like tomorrow with the revenge narrative. He's going back to New York. I like him. Lou Aldang, 4K, no. PJ Tucker could be in play. Jordan Clarkson, the price is so cheap on him. I kind of like him at 3.9K. Lou Williams, 3.9K. I kind of like those guys tomorrow at those cheap salaries. Brandon Knight is in play for me at 3.9. Steph Curry is a no. Or if I'm stacking deeply, I can give Steph Curry a look, but I probably won't stack that deep on Dallas because they're cheap enough. Their frontline guys on Dallas are cheap enough for me to save salary to pay up for one of the studs that I like if Anthony Davis plays, or if I want to go ahead and jump on to Kevin Durant. Jerry Grant is a no. Courtney Lee, yes, 3.8. Jonathan Simmons, no. And now we're just digging in the dumpster right now. But we've got to find guys in this range, like Spencer Dinwiddie, who is going to, be a part of a team with a high pace, just like the Brooklyn Nets are #1 in pace. They run like a motherfucker. And they'll be a good team, a good play to roster from that team. Manu Ginobili is another good play, 3.5. Very cheap price on him. Andre Iguodala, we talked about that. 3.5. Nice price on that guy. We've got to find these guys. Jaja Pachulia is a starter, but against Andre Drummond, I don't think we're going to see him have any success. Tim Frazier, no. Justin Hamilton is a play that I do like at 3.4K. Pace up game. New Orleans might not see Anthony Davis. Justin Hamilton is a play for me. Kyle Anderson is a no. Bogut is probably not going to be playing tomorrow. Isaiah Whitehead, yes, I like Isaiah Whitehead. If he gets to start, I like him to mark 3.3. We can use him in a Brooklyn stack, a very cheap Brooklyn stack, and pay up in other spots. Denzel Valentine, I kind of like him. Kylo Quinn's a nah, no for me. Karis LeVert, no. Ron Baker, no. Let's find Felicia. He is somebody we can play. He played very well the last time out. They are still hobbled, still riddled with injuries, the Chicago Bulls. We can look to him as a very cheap punt play as we're paying up in other spots. And it's not too much to pay up for. This is just if you want to get Kevin Durant on your team. So that is the player pricing pool for tomorrow. Go ahead and get your stack mentality on. Give yourself an idea of who you want to be using in your stacks. And let's go ahead and jump into the point totals that we do have, because we do have a couple here for us to review. We can start. This is starting with the first game of the slate. If you're playing FanDuel or if you're playing DraftKings and you involve yourself on that early slate, you've got the I know the early slate is Indiana and Denver. And then you've got New Orleans Pelicans and Brooklyn. Those is a 2-game, like a little small slate. And just fade George. Stack the shit out of those 2 games and fade Paul George and whoever's injured. Just don't play. I'm telling you, just the early 2 games. Play Indiana. Stack Indiana. Don't play Paul George, and whoever healthy from Denver that you like, play them, and make a choice if you want to throw in some Brooklyn guys or some New Orleans Pelican guys. But Indiana is going to be the basis of the stack tomorrow. That's I think is going to win those early the early slate at 3 o'clock. I really do. I think the Indiana stack is going to be the one that gets it. But the ones that don't have Paul George are going to be the ones that do really well. You might leave some salary on the table, but I just would not roster Paul George tomorrow. I just won't. I'd rather have Wilson Chandler at much cheaper price than he is. So that's a way to look at that. The next game is going to be, and there's no point total for the Indiana and the Denver game because we're still waiting on some injury news from this a couple guys from Denver that are dealing with injury issues. Most notably, Nikolai Jokic. We've got Kenneth Reed battling some injuries, so we don't have any point totals for this game yet. Next game is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans at the Brooklyn Nets. Now, of course, the Brooklyn Nets are home. They're scrappy. They're a fast-paced team. We like them tomorrow. We like to stack them. There's no point total yet for this game, of course, because we know Anthony Davis is dealing with an injury issue. So we're going to have to follow the beat writers for the New Orleans Pelicans. Stay in touch with Twitter so we can make sure we find out what's going to be the story before lineups lock. Remember, that two game slate, the small one that these 2 games are on, it locks at 3. So if we don't have that news at a certain point in time, you just committed to rostering or not rostering Anthony Davis. So you've got to be on top of that. As far as the Brooklyn goes, we talked about some of the plays already. I like Isaiah Whitehead if he does get to start. I like Sean Kilpatrick. I love Drew Holiday, especially if we don't see Anthony Davis. Somebody's got to pick up that scoring load. Him and Buddy Hield, I really feel can get the job done. So there's going to be 2 in these 2 games. We're going to be stacking New Orleans if we don't see Anthony Davis, and we're going to be stacking Indiana. Those are going to be probably the 2 main stacks that do the most damage in the tournaments. The next game we're going to talk about is a 203.5 point total. It is the New York Knicks, my New York Knicks at home in the Garden, taking on Chicago Bulls. We already know that we're not going to be seeing Jimmy Butler. He did travel the team, but he's not going to be playing at all. Now, the Knicks are a very confusing animal this year. And a lot of people, like myself, sometimes just assume not even deal with them. Just don't roster any of those motherfuckers. But on a 5-game short slate, we kind of got no choice but to comb through the New York Knicks roster and see what we can use. And I definitely think that the 2 guys that used to play for Chicago will want to have good games, not to on some revenge shit, but just want to have good games against some of the guys that they played with their friends. And that same thing being said for the Chicago side. That makes this game, for me, a game stack. I like Derrick Rose. I like Noah. I like Taj Gibson. And I also like Robin Lopez in this game. I love Dwayne Wade in this game. I think we can comb the Chicago bench and grab a couple, maybe 1 or 2 more plays off the Chicago bench. On the New York Knicks side, we've got to give Melo a look in this game. We're not going to see Jimmy Butler. Who's going to be defending Melo? Nobody. I like Melo to go off in this game too. At home against the Chicago Bulls, we know that there was a point in the offseason when he was contemplating signing with the Bulls. They've got some issues there. I like Melo tomorrow and a New York stack with a couple of Bulls sprinkled into it. Next game we're going to talk about is the LA Lakers going to San Antonio. This is a 210-point total with the San Antonio Spurs giving up 14.5 points to the LA Lakers. This is not too much for me to like. On the Lakers side, it's not too much for me to like. If the game blows out, the first team is getting blown out, then I can definitely see, Sweet Lou Williams coming in and stumbling and bumbling and knocking down a few shots, and Jordan Clarkson really getting into it. But I think the best place to search for, solid points on this in this game is on the San Antonio bench. We're talking about cats like Bertrands. We're talking about Patty Mills. Because we got to see who's going to be sitting out. Because if I had to call it right now, I would say we're going to get popped with somebody tomorrow. I don't think we see, all of the San Antonio guys playing. If it's Tony Parker, if it's maybe Kawhi, who just had a rest a few games ago, or if it's going to be Paul Gasol. He used to play for the Lakers too. If the game was in LA, I would feel a little different, but the game is in San Antonio. So there's not too much that I think I want to deal with as far as the San Antonio starters. Not too much at all I want to deal with as far as the LA Lakers. The next game I'm going to talk about is the Dallas Mavericks going to Phoenix to take on the Suns. If we get this game right, we could really cash in. It is an even point differential with the spread being 202 points for both teams. So this is pretty much a stalemate, man. And I like a lot about the Dallas side. Like I said, I like Darren Williams. I like Wesley Matthews in some spots, going up against Devin Booker defense, which is no defense at all. I like Dirk Nowitzki in this game as well, and I also feel like we could look to, if we see what JJ Barea's minutes projection is going to be, and it's a nice one, if it's 20 or better, I think we can look at JJ Barea too at that depressed price point right now while he's coming off of that injury. On the Phoenix side, I like a lot about the Phoenix side. I just don't think I'm going to see that game I need to see from Eric Bledsoe to roster him with confidence. I do like Devin Booker as a scoring option in this game. I think we can look to T.J. Warren, maybe some Marcus Chris. Tyson Chandler's going to have his way rebounding the ball. He's to play for the Dallas Mavericks. He's going to want to have a good showing there. Also, maybe we can look at Alex Len in this game too. The price is very far down on him. I don't think that's going to hurt you if you have somebody like him in your lineups. The last game on the slate, and probably, again, a lot of people are going to have invested in. I'm going to have a very light investment in this game. This is Detroit Pistons going to Golden State to take on the Warriors. It's the highest point total on the slate as of right now. 218.5 points is the point total, with the Detroit Pistons getting 13 points from the Golden State Warriors. So the Golden State Warriors are home favorites, giving up 13 points to the Detroit Pistons. Now, we saw what Hassan Whiteside did to Golden State last time out. Will this be any different? I'm not sure, and that's why I'm going to be taking some Andre Drummond tomorrow. And I'm going to have some Tobias Harris. I'm going to have some Reggie Jackson, because we know we can attack Steph Curry on the perimeter with the point guard. I'm going to have some shares of the Detroit guys in a stack on this game. And while I'm at that, I'm going to do the same thing on the Golden State side. I'm probably going to run 5 or 6 lineups. They're all going to be stacks. I'm going to develop my pool. My pool of value plays, so that to make the stack works, I got to get this cheaper guy in. But most of my lineups tomorrow, all of my lineups tomorrow are going to be stack based. And I think we can stack the Golden State side. We got to pick one that we're going to take out, because it doesn't make sense to me to roster Steph, Draymond, Clay, and Durant. This is not the same team they were last year, when you could do that with them last year, because it was always one of them that was under 7K, like far or right around 6K. There was always one of them. But now, man, most of these guys are priced up. The cheapest, I think, is Klay Thompson. He's at 6.5. You've got 8.8 for Steph Curry. You got 9.7 for Durant. You got like 7.9 for Draymond. So I don't think that we're going to see that type of value open up on the lower end, 3K, around that, to where we can roster all of those guys and still have a lineup that we feel really confident in. So I'm gonna pick 3 that I really like, and if I had to do it right now, I would just go ahead and X out Draymond Green. Excuse me. I would X out Steph Curry, and I would go Draymond, Clay, and Kevin Durant. Those would be the 3 guys that would look the roster. And if I wanted to go a 4th, I would go to the bench. I would Iguodala. I would like him there. Maybe no. Iguodala was the furthest I would go on the Golden State side. Now on the Detroit side, we talked about Reggie Jackson. We talked about Tobias Harris. We talked about Andre Drummond being a solid play. And don't forget about Marcus Morris and KCP. KCP has had 2 really nice games in a row. So either it's time for him to have that one more nice game before he goes on another streak of shitter games, or tomorrow's going to be the shitty game. So I tend to err on the side of caution. If I had to, I would not play as heavily on KCP. I would go Reggie Jackson, like I said, Tobias Harris, or Marcus Morris and Andre Drummond. So this has been your DFS Jerusalem. Stay tuned tomorrow. We won't be doing a standard core 4. You know that 5 games or less. We do not roll core 4s. We roll stacks. Those sheets are going to be sent out to everybody's. The content is going to be on the website for you to take a look at it whenever you're ready. If you would like to take a look at the content, it's just as simple as joining the DFS Sweatshop family. Go to www.dfssweatshop.com. That's where you can create your email password for us, and then excuse me, your email registration, and upon your paid subscription, 50 cents a day, 2 punk ass quarters, 2 quarter lineups, you can get 30 days of all the information, all the content. And if you get in now, you will not be disappointed. We are in talks, in negotiations, and it should be coming up very shortly to get our optimizing software on there. Our player pool spreadsheets are going to be much nicer. It's going to be a top flight, top notch stuff, and I'm really looking forward to it all coming to fruition. Should be in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned and bear with us. I am your DFS Jerusalem. This is the DFS Sweatshop. If you would like to support the show a little further, you can definitely click that box over there. It says support the show. Go ahead and click that. You can also visit our booster down there in the link where you can cop some DFS Sweatshop swag. If you like to hit the 300 Club and look nice, you can definitely do that. This is 100% gilded cotton. This ain't no bullshit. Beautiful t-shirts. We've got white and black. Also hoodies for you guys in the colder areas. And just want to take a moment to thank you all, man. The growth and expansion of the DFS Sweatshop is phenomenal. It's something I could not explain. It's something that's happening. It's an altruistic movement of guys that really just want to get into this DFS thing, make a few dollars, and make some friends and have a really good time. And that's what we do, man. I love it, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. This has been your DFS Jerusalem. The #1 thing we got to do in the DFS Sweatshop is keep it 300.